Tonight on The GOAT Show.
When we record the House of Red Velvet documentary, we're going to have to get the licenses for all the music.
Have dinner in Italy tonight, and then come back and be in bed and watch a movie.
Don't make perfection an enemy of a great job.
Maybe say a couple Hail Marys, but...
I hate to say it, but I do have a little bit of perfectionism.
Welcome to The GOAT Show, the show where we celebrate and debate all things great. I am joined by my co-hosts, Fresh and Deezy. Gentlemen, good to see you today. I have a question for you. Are you feeling today like innocent, strong, wholesome Christian men? Because if you are, you got to leave the show. Because that's not what this show is today. This show, it's going to be oh shit, we lost Fresh. Well, that's what happens when, when you're going to talk to the people about the GOAT that we have on the show today, who we'll get to shortly, Olivia from the House of Red Velvet. We'll get into that in a sec. But before we do, Fresh, what do the people have to do?
You gotta like, you gotta subscribe, you gotta comment, you gotta hit the bell. You got to send it to your mom, your sister, your aunt.
You got to share it maybe with someone who needs to exercise their demons. Maybe it's your partner, even someone who needs to just go to some kind of experience that hits them right in the soul with some surreal, dark, erotic, theater. That may be what you need to do. And the person that is providing that experience is joining us here today. Olivia, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. Me personally, I'm very excited because we've known each other for a while now, and there's so much to talk about. And I'm going to try and not go in too many tangents because we've known each other for a very long time. But yeah, I mean, let's get into it. So. I first met you in LA, and I think you're still in sort of the LA area many moons ago. And so, that's kind of how we know each other, and how you've come to the show. I know that you have superpowers, but I want to understand, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I would like to teleport myself at any given time. I think that's
Interesting.
the best. Yeah, then I can also bypass any anxiety from traveling. I could just show up.
Nice.
Every time ZiLLY asks this question, that's my superpower too. But I want to do it like the movie Jumper. I want to be able to do it like
Yes.
That's like my ideal thought of like being able to teleport. That's how I would want to do it. Just like anywhere you can imagine, you can just be there right away.
Yes. Have dinner in Italy tonight, and then come back and be in bed and watch a movie.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm actually, I know that you're a fan of Germany. I know that you like German beer, you like all that kind of stuff. So I actually, today I'm drinking. Get this, guys. I found this in the local health food store. Okay, it's called Santa Clausthaler. I'm not German, so if I mispronounce that, it is a non-alcoholic Christmas brew. Now.
Bro, why?
And the
what's
guys,
with you and your non-alcoholic beers, bro?
I got a show to do, man. I can't be getting drunk on the show.
The Germans would slap you, dude. Come on. Are you kidding me?
I think so.
Right, well,
They love their beer. I mean, when I was living there, I had beer, I think, almost every day because that's what you do.
I,
It's like water.
I want to go. I really want to go to Berlin and
You should,
see
yeah.
all that stuff. And maybe we'll get into that in a second. But cheers to everybody on the show. Just getting
Cheers.
it's interesting taste. I'm not sure. It's like peppermint. It's got peppermint beer taste. I don't know how I feel about that. But shout out Santa Clausthaler Howler. If you want to sponsor the show.
No, take your non-alcoholic beer and shove it up your whatever.
Yeah, our people like to drink. I tried selling actually some non-alcoholic beer at our bar, and I think one person bought one, but that was it.
It was
Don't
silly.
listen to
It was
them.
him.
Yeah.
Sponsorship is
It
available
was
for
Ravi.
everybody. All right. So Olivia, from superpowers to superhero origin stories, tell us a little bit about life growing up. Are you from LA originally, or where did you grow up?
I am from California, Southern California. I was born in Orange County, actually.
Okay,
So,
great.
not LA, but a real true Californian.
Yeah.
And I had a great upbringing. I have a wonderful family who I'm still close to. Um, I had a really great extended family. We were all very eat, drink, and be merry. We had celebrated holidays and birthdays together, and it was all about food and music. And I was very lucky, really. I had a really, really great upbringing. Um, I played sports growing up, actually.
Really?
So yeah, I did.
What'd you
So
play?
different, all kinds of different ones. I played soccer, volleyball, and softball for a while.
Oh
So
wow. Okay, cool.
we were very, yeah, we were very family oriented. Going out to the games and all that kind of stuff. So it was a good upbringing.
Well, you cut your teeth in LA, kind of doing the cabaret circuit. I mean, was playing sports. How did you get into from like playing sports and things like that to performance arts? Dancing and things like that.
Um, I've always loved art. Even when I was a kid, even when I played sports, I was always a lover of art. I would draw a lot when I was a kid, and I would listen to music. I'd make mixtapes and write plays and perform them with my sister. I was always into like theater and art. It just, I think, I had that thought of, well, you have to get like a real job, right? And so I thought, well, what do I love? I love music. So I went into the music industry after college. I stopped, there's no sports really for women in their when they're older. So I just did that when I was like young. But once I got to college, I thought, I love music. Okay, let's go work in that field, and because it's something I love. So I went into corporate concert industry for a while. But I always loved art, always loved performance, and I was in LA at the time, and then that's when I thought of just going for it and just trying it. I want to be on stage. I want to be a stage performer, and I've met some people who are doing some performance art type stuff and some cabaret. And I thought, this is my chance. I'm here. I felt confident enough and I just went for it. So I don't know. I just kind of fell into it in a weird way, but it was always something I always loved.
Right. I mean, it's something that, from my understanding, you've told me before that it was something that you learned like once you moved to LA. Like it was something. It wasn't like, I mean, I don't. Maybe this is inaccurate, but it wasn't like you were always at like ballerina dancer throughout your childhood. It was just that you moved to LA, and I always found that really fascinating and amazing because, to be honest, um, you were performing all kinds of different shows. We met each other through friends. Everybody would go to these shows, and it was like you would not know that. You know, like off the top of your head, you would imagine this person's been doing this forever. So I'm just kind of curious. Um, what do you think are the qualities that you need to be able to learn fast, to be able to take something new on and very quickly master that thing?
First, thank you. um, Good question. I mean, for me, it was really listening to a lot of music and doing the best I can to just really feel it and be authentic and real. Because I think if you have that, then that does a lot when people are watching you. People can feel that, people can read that, and you can then learn technical stuff. I mean, I wish, of course, looking back, I wish I was in dance classes my whole youth, you know. I could have maybe started a career earlier, but I don't think it's impossible. I think you have to find kind of a certain type of style that you can do, and then just really just practice it and learn it and pay attention and um, go for it. Really, just have some confidence, find that confidence, and go for it, and connect with an audience. That's what we're all trying to do as artists, right? We're just connecting with the audience, and I think if you have that in some way, then that's very helpful.
Good point. Yeah, authenticity first.
Yes.
Then I think probably in general with art, that's really what it should be in the first place, right? Like you're doing it authentically for
Mhm.
the art, and then you kind of pick up the things you need to be able to go where you want to go.
Yes, yeah, you have to know what you're trying to say, and know what you want to convey, and whatever that is, that's definitely important.
Very cool. You hear that, artists? Stop chasing that influencer trash money. Shallow trash money. Figure out who you are, figure out what you're trying to express. Be authentic first, then figure out all the technique. All right. Well, I mean, we're going to talk about the show that you're putting on, which is amazing, and I've been to many iterations of it over the years. But I mean, you were first a part of different productions,
Mhm.
and I'm just curious, in your opinion, should people, I think anybody, whether you're an entrepreneur or an artist, should you go through quote unquote the system first? Should you participate in what's already out there first? And then once you understand how that works, then forge your own path? Or do you feel like, if looking back, what you would have rather have just gone and done your own thing?
Um, no, I think you kind of have to learn a little bit. You kind of have to immerse yourself with what's there. At least that worked for me because I think if I would have started producing in the very beginning, I don't know if I would have known what I was doing really at all. And I wouldn't have known those things that I've learned over the years just from being a performer and watching other people do it. I don't think I would have known what to do. It would have been harder. I mean, I think anyone can do that, but you have to learn a lot. And I think being in that place and being in where other people are kind of producing and you're kind of learning as like a performer, that's very, very helpful. And because also you kind of know to have the utmost respect for performers because you were one once too, without being a producer, because it's hard. It's really, really hard work. And I think if you just were starting to be a producer, you may not have that kind empathy for someone who's, that the performers need, because it's hard on both sides.
Have you ever worked with a production where they did not have that respect for the performers or didn't understand what the performers go through?
Absolutely. Yes. Um, and yeah, it's a long time ago, I haven't as of late, but I've definitely have been worked for people who I didn't necessarily vibe with, or they didn't really understand kind of how difficult also was for a performer. But on the flip side of that, producing is extremely difficult, and I don't think a lot of performers understand that side either. It's very expensive. It's like all the little costs they add up very fast, and a lot of people don't. It's hard. You got to have to sort of understand both sides to get it. But
Right, right. Well, let's get into it then. So I know that you were producing different shows over the years, but your main flagship, the one that that you're probably gonna die with, Olivia. It's gonna be on your tombstone. Is producer creator of the House of Red Velvet. So maybe briefly, can you just describe what is the House of Red Velvet? And then I really want to get into sort of the mechanics behind it, but maybe just a brief description for anybody who doesn't know what it is.
Sure. Well, our tagline is euphoric dark art, surreal, experimental, or erotica. We've used that before, but I've veered away from that a little bit. Because the way I like to think of it is I call it kind of like a pulsating organ. I feel like it's something that's alive and it changes and morphs into its thing, when we do it. And each show, even if we're doing the same edition, it always feels different. I We don't like to over rehearse the show. We like to really try to come from a place of freestyle, when we're doing it, just so we can leave space for anything that we're like feeling at that moment. So, but essentially, it's a performance art show. We've had anything from ballet to contortion to opera. It's mostly movement and dance. Performance art, we have props and things like that. It's theatrical in a lot of ways. It's all to music. There's no host or anything, and the whole thing runs on one track. So it's and that's one thing that's very important about it, is the music is very important. Um, as you know, is because you've seen it, we're like creating this atmosphere. So even the transitional music is specifically chosen for that specific feeling at the time.
Yeah, if I had to bonehead it, just the most bonehead way to describe it from my perspective, it's like I mean, there's a lot of sort of like there's like an American Horror Story vibe, although I don't want to say anything that is going to diminish. But what I mean is that it's mysterious. There is a certain element of there's a certain element of darkness and surrealism, and it's very like I said before, it's like attending an exorcism in many ways. Like that's what I feel like. It's got exorcism vibes to it. So for any of y'all Christian folk out there, you might need to. This might not be for you, but
No, I think it is. We're not spiritual. I mean, we're not. I do not like anything that is like of shock value. That is very important to me, and that's what I tell every single new performer. Is like, I'm not into shock value. I don't like that. I want what is real inside of you to come out. We draw from a lot of our own personal experiences and mental health a little bit too, and psychology. Um, so yes, it has the dark exteriors, and I mean, we hope we feel something from it, like in exorcism. That's an interesting way to put it. But we're not like a anti-religious show at all. Like, I love God. So so it's not, I'm not into any of that. I feel like all of that is kind of silly and trying too hard in a lot of ways. So I really try to keep away from being any kind of like anti religion, because we do like to also bring it back to a place of light too, because I think that's the human experience.
All right, Christians, you can come back now. You can go to this show. All right.
Maybe say a couple Hail Marys, but
Maybe.
No, but from what I've seen, yeah, that's true. Like the show usually ends on a note of levity. I feel like So,
Mhm.
what would you say? Because one thing about you, Olivia, not only because I feel like uh yes, like you became one of the best performers in LA, and you did it kind of from your own way. I feel like the other thing that you are really excellent at, and as someone who's been in the world of art direction and design for all these years, I feel like your art, like the way you art direct, is really really attuned. And I know, talking to you, we've worked together on some things. You are really particular about certain aspects of like the aesthetics and the presentation, all that kind of stuff. What would you say? Where does that come from? Is it just being a life of being an artist?
I hate to say it, but I do have a little bit of perfectionism. I hate that, because I know you're not supposed to be in a lot of ways, but
yes, you are. They lied.
Right. I want to ask you about that. Do you feel that that's really true or not? That because
Um,
I'm the same way. I'm ask these guys, like, I can, if you given the right thing, some things I'm like, whatever, you guys do whatever you want. Some things I'm like the Goat Show logo. I was like, I mean, we went through I don't know how many iterations of that logo.
7,326 to be exact.
Is it that many?
It was.
So yeah, I mean, I understand their perfectionism, and sometimes I'm like, you know what? I am a perfectionist, dang it, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's what quality is. What do you think?
I agree. It's about yeah, the quality and like what you want to present it as. I mean, if you're just throwing whatever out there, then it can be inconsistent, which is not good, or it could be read differently. Um, it, I think every important artist has kind of been like that. I mean, look at what Stanley Kubrick did. I mean, how many takes he made his actors do. I think it is very important to have that. And I am a little bit of a perfectionist, and you made me feel a little bit better about it. I think it's okay because I do feel bad sometimes, with editors. I'm like, no, we need to change this, do it on this point, change it. But I've been trying to be a little bit more like free with it a little bit and listen more to my intuition. And if it feels okay, then going with it instead of questioning it. Because I will say on the flip side of that, you can start to question it a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, you get the paralysis, right? So, like, you have to balance the perfectionism with actually getting work done is the only thing. So if the needle's moving, then perfectionism is great, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't make perfection an enemy of a great job.
That's good.
You guys are giving me freaking anxiety when you say that. Give me anxiety. No, you guys, I agree with what you guys are saying, like 100%. You got to move the needle forward. You brought up just a bit, at least a little bit. You brought up Stanley Kubrick. I know that one of our, what we bond on it in terms of our friendship is a lot of like art stuff, so music and movies and all that kind of stuff. So, like, what would you say for House of Red Velvet? I'm thinking Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch. You said Pink Floyd. Like, what would you say are some of your influences for crafting the visual aesthetic of the show?
Definitely, yeah, Pink Floyd, David Lynch, the ones you've said. Alejandro Jodorowsky is another one. Really big one for me. And yeah, I mean that it's been described that way. I always think people describe the show better than I do. Um, but a lot of people have said it's kind of has like a Lynchian vibe because it's kind of very much like a non-linear type story. And we draw a lot from dreams also that we have personally and kind of make those into this real creation. So a lot of times it feels like you're in this other world. I mean that's the goal too, is we want the audience to feel like they're entering this other world or this other type of dimension for the time that we have with them.
The other thing that, at least in recent shows, and I'm not sure if that's the current inspiration, has been a lot of like German underground, like you had like German underground techno type stuff that was like, but it was like super cool. It didn't feel out of place. It felt like really, maybe you could speak on sort of that influence of that kind of German underground culture, And I've talked about that a lot with you. Like, I want to go to Berlin. I want to go into these weird clubs, like as a total normie, and just see what that scene's like. Like, maybe you could describe that influence on the show.
Sure. I I visited Germany shortly before I did the first show in LA, and it's been like 10 years since I was there. But it was such a great, I met some really great people, and um, it quickly became, yeah, a stronger influence at that time. And I remember going to Germany and going to actually Berghain, which is like the famous club. I really love Sisyphos. That one is actually probably my favorite Berlin club.
How would you describe Sisyphos?
It's a little bit more like Berghain is a little more serious. And because it's the one famous club where the guy, you walk up and the guy either says yes or no, you can come in or not. And everyone wears all black and it's just very serious tone. And I remember when I went there,
Did you get in?
yes, I did get in. I was with a German, that helps. And he just told me, do not speak do not say anything. Just stand there. I'm going to say something in German slang or Berlin slang and just don't say anything. Don't let them know you're American, basically. He favors, locals, obviously. So I didn't say anything, and then when we got in. But Berghain, yeah, it has more of a serious tone. Sisyphos was kind of a little bit more free. People wore, still black, but some people wore like more colors, or it was a little more like kind of a more relaxed vibe. And but they still played techno, great techno, dark techno. The room, the Hammer Hall is what that's the one big room, and it has this really cool imagery of, it's just like kind of like tunnel dark. All these people are like smoking cigarettes or drinking or just whatever they're on, and, and they're hanging out on the couches, and you just walk through and you're hearing like the bass and like all of it. It's just such an exciting like time, and you can just go and dance and have a great time. But I remember being in Berghain, and there was these DJs performing. I didn't know who they were at the time, but I remember being there. We were looking ahead at where the DJ was at, and I was just in the big huge room, and they started playing this really like weird atmospheric kind of avant-garde like sounds, and everyone was just like staring in the front, like paying attention. People weren't like really dancing because it wasn't like dance music, but it was just such a bizarre thing. I just remember looking around like I've never seen this in a club, like where if there's this avant-garde like music playing before this DJ is going on, and like everyone is just so enthralled, and the sounds were so cool. It was like nothing I really, you know, listened to before. I didn't really listen to that much techno before, going to Berlin. And then I just fell in love with it. Yeah. I'm a rock and roller
Yeah,
and a
you're a rock
blues
and
girl.
roll. I mean, that was the other thing
Yes.
that we're being into rock and roll and like blues and stuff like that. So that's
Mhm.
why I thought it was interesting. Once you went through your German like journey, you know, coming back with this like super hypnotic dark techno influence is really interesting.
Yeah, it was it that time in Berghain, it was really interesting. It struck me like, and I remember getting or looking online, I think, and I wrote down every single DJ's name, and I was like, I have to look up what they make because this is going in the show that I'm creating at the time. I was like, this was just too cool. And we do combine like a blend of music. There's a lot of obviously atmospheric type music, but we've had Pink Floyd songs, I've had Black Angel songs, I've had, some rock kind of bluesy, as long as it still kind of feels somewhat dark, which a lot of that does. Or I've had, yeah, dark techno that we've like peppered in there as, and um I think it all comes together. So
How does copyright work for that?
well, we're just a live performance show, so like any stage performer is allowed to perform to songs. I, um like a DJ is allowed to play a song in a bar, I guess, whatever that's saying. Yeah.
When we record the House of Red Velvet documentary, we're gonna have to get the licenses for all the music. Just telling you right now.
Oh, well, yeah, that's different. Yeah. A live performance, you're allowed to perform to other people's music. It'd be great to make our own music. I've been approached about that before, about doing something completely original, but
Well, you may be able to do it now a lot easier than you could before. Suno AI is creating immaculate music that it seems like you made it yourself.
okay, interesting. I'll have to take a listen to that.
Yeah. I thought you were playing with that, Olivia, the AI stuff, just to see what it's like, the music.
I am playing with AI, but I haven't looked at Suno yet. But I think, was that the one that you told me about before?
Yeah, there's Suno, and then I think what Udio or something like that. Those are the big two right now that are making music.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The one thing about AI, though, I feel like it still doesn't really get avant-garde enough, I feel like. Maybe in the future, but it's hard.
Maybe. Because for the first time recently, I got feelings from it. Like I'm listening to the music and it gave me chills, and like the lyrics gave me like made me feel something for the first time. And this is why now like I'm a proponent for it, because I've kind of been on the fence with AI music. But I think that now that it's giving you feeling and stuff like that, I think it's at least giving us good quality content.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all data sets, like, whatever however much it's been trained on is, kinda what it's pulling from to create the music, so, in the future, if it could be trained on all of the music, then you can imagine what kind of creations it could make, even with the human voice, because it could sample all of the voices from all of the music, and it's crazy. It's really gonna change the game for artists, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Give it 3 months, then you can make a House Red Velvet album that speaks to your soul. Uh, I wanna get into production, of the show. So, first and foremost, you have performers in the show. How do you select the performers? How do you find them? And then how do you work with them in the show?
I have found a lot of the ones that I've worked with kind of through social media or word of mouth. Um, Sometimes I'll put a post out saying, "Does anyone know any performers that are, um, whatever I'm looking for kind of at the time?" And then some of them are referrals. But some I've also just found kind of through social media, thumbing through there and finding somebody who knows somebody. And um, I vet them a lot. I ask if anyone knows them just so I can know their work ethic because that's very important. This show is demanding. It takes time and patience, and there's a lot of communication between myself and the performer leading up to the show. So I need people who understand that, who have the time for it, and who want to do it more than anything. Like you have to really want to be here because otherwise it's so hard to do it because there's so many elements. Like we do a VIP show for members that's like a pre-show, and we do the main show. So it's a lot to learn and a lot, and I just need like dedicated individuals. So I have to make sure that they're that first, and that it's not just like a job or it's not just
Right.
for money,
Right,
or
right,
something to do. Yeah.
right.
I found that people who kind of have like their other things that they do, like have other stuff solid, those are good people to work with. If they're really struggling, like a struggling actor or something, it's I found it kind of difficult
Right.
because they're so concerned with their livelihood that it's hard to dedicate, to a show that is like what we're trying to do is just like I said, like we're trying to draw so much out of our personal experience, and it's exhausting. It's very exhausting. These shows are very exhausting in a
How do you
good way. We love it, but it's hard work.
how do you balance? Because from what I've seen in the shows, there is an if it seems like there's an improvisational element to what's going on, and the performers, like you said, there's been contortionists, there's been, opera singers, there's all kinds of different performers. So I'm kind of curious, how do you balance sort of what they bring to the table and what they do, and at the same time make sure that it fits what's going on with the show and the vision of what you're presenting the show as it being.
Sure. I mean, each show kind of has like a underlying theme that usually is something that comes to me randomly at a moment of time, and then my heart sets on it, and then I'm gonna run with it and kind of build it from there. And it's everything from like our one this Saturday is it's the underlying thing is isolation, but it's on a backdrop of like the dark winter. So we call it the dark winter, but the underlying thing is isolation. We've done everything from sacrifice, obsession. Usually it's like one word like that, and it's just something that we kind of draw from. And I usually kind of think about I don't know. I do different each time. I guess sometimes think about what the opening feels like because I usually always open the show. Or I think I probably have always opened to the show. Um, and then I kind of think what that feels like. And sometimes I just get the ideas from listening to music. I have a huge playlist of stuff that I've saved and stuff that I've used. So sometimes I start from there, and then or start from like just thinking personally what that means to me and what that looks like. And a lot of it is subconscious thought, kind of just wherever it goes at that moment. And then I start sort of thinking, okay, who's who else is in this show? Who fits this like direction that I'm going in? And a lot of the shows that we've been doing recently have been ones that we've done before. They've just been revamped. So it's been kind of a little bit more about like fitting people into something that maybe I've already written before, that but it's going to be presented by somebody else, um, or just like a different type of story. So I don't know. It's all kind of very intuition and whatever feels right.
If it's anything like kind of, with this, like this show, it's like it's usually success by million edits. Basically, you just try a bunch of stuff and you keep crafting it and crafting it and crafting it.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm curious about so much of what your show, what impresses me about your show is the venues and the lighting and how that's presented, because you have performers, but what really I feel like what really always drew me in was that depending on the venue, the the show changes. So for instance, like I think when you first started, what was that place? It's kind of like it was bar something in West
Arlovich.
bar, yeah, bar. So it's like this small room, like, and it's very intimate, right? And like it's like wooden, and it feels like something from like Russia or something. And then you had another one where it's like in this big church, and that changed the performance. So I'm kind of curious how much, how do you select a location for the show? What does that mean? And then if you could talk to like how you do the lighting and the presentation of the show as well, like what goes into that.
Sure. Well, venues are difficult to find in LA. You wouldn't think that, but it's a little bit challenging. And I think it's a lot of it's because of the needs of our show. Like we are maybe better on a stage, so it's raised so people can see in the back. I've dealt with a lot of sightline issues, and those are like on the production side of things I don't want to have these sightline issues, for the audience, because I want them to be able to see everything. And venues are challenging. I've um this is like the one thing that I don't like doing the most, because I feel like it's hard to find a good venue, because also it's hard to find people who can are like willing to work with you too, and who are cool and communicative and easy to work with. Believe it or not, I know it's LA though. I guess maybe that's not hard to believe, but it is challenging. So when you find all of that, like a great venue with a great person who runs it, who's really cool and like wants you to do whatever you want, then that's like a gold mine. But it's hard. I've definitely dealt with some very non-communicative venues before. They just like they ghost you, or they whatever, or this or that,
Well, yeah, yeah. That happened recently, right? With you, like a venue ghosted you or whatever. Not that we have to get into details, but
Yes, I've had that happen before. Just, yeah, very non-communicative, or just um not very kind, or not very supportive of what you're doing, and that's difficult though. You want a supportive environment, and I wish there was a little bit more of that, but it's a hard thing to find. But I try to just like search or find or get from referrals as much as possible, and then I go and visit them a lot. You have to see them in person, of course, before anything, and then I have to think of every single detail of what's going to happen, and if this will actually like work or not. I mean, the most important things are, do they have a good sound system? They
mm,
have to have a good sound system. If it's not, then I can't do our show there, because that's such an important part of it. But when we did the church, that was a venue I loved for a really long time, and I've always wanted to do something there. And um I don't know. It was kind
Yeah,
of just,
yeah.
yeah, based on like feeling, I guess. Yeah, of what works. So, but
What type of venue is for the show coming up?
this is a really cool venue. It's called Me Vita. It's a like a rental space, venue space. It's like actually a like a hangar, so it has like the high ceilings and everything. It's just a really cool kind of open industrial looking space that my lighting director actually he's been working with them, so he found them. Um, and it which is wonderful because he actually put his lighting already in the venue, so we're it's just kind of easier to light it now because he knows the venue very well. He has his lights hanging, and um yeah, I don't know, I liked it a lot when I saw it.
You've been working it's the same lighting director for all these years, right? That you've been working with?
Hmm.
And he's incredible. I mean, the lighting is I mean, that's a huge part of the show is how the lighting is done. How would you I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of technical things that go into obviously lighting and all that stuff, but what is the importance of, lighting and atmosphere to the show? How do you approach, maybe art directing that side of the show?
Yes, J Fox Lighting, he's amazing. We love Jason. I give him a lot of free reign, actually, because he knows our show very well now. And I there's certain moments where we need like a blackout, or we need strobe, or we need, I always say, like, give me a light show. Just give me a light show because we're going to be doing this thing, or this is just like a dance portion, or we want it to feel like this. And he comes to our rehearsals, and he knows like what we're doing emotionally. And but I kind of really give him a lot of free reign on a lot of stuff, and let him just like kind of choose um the changes and everything that he does. And he does such a great job. I mean, we're like a well-oiled machine, I would say, kind of now, and we all know
Mhm.
each other very well. So yeah, I think he really likes that too. He just knows I don't like a lot of white lighting. I say stay away from the white lighting. It's too bright. But also it's kind of it makes it very realistic, and we're trying
Right.
to create a surreal world as much as possible. But sometimes there's something that the performer is wearing or has that the audience needs to see, because if you
Mhm.
put it all in red, then they may not see it. So we
Right.
definitely use a little bit of white lighting, but minimal. It's my only rule.
I was looking on your website and looking at some of the videos that you have, and I noticed, it's pretty like close quarters and small audiences, like it's so that they obviously can see. You just talked about a venue. It sounds like it's a little bigger than some of the videos that I've seen. Are you going to be kind of expanding your audience a little bit, or what is your plan there? Or do you like to keep it more intimate like that?
I definitely like the intimacy, but I think the biggest show we did was the church show, and that was about 200 people. And yes, the venue that we're going to be at is um it's much larger. I think it's going to be still smaller in size, by about 100 people, but the space feels very large. But I kind of liked that for this one, just because this one is about isolation and the dark winter. So it kind of has this like feeling of it being larger than you. However, yes, when we do the really small shows, the intimacy is like definitely on another level. And we still try to keep that as much as possible, even if we go in a bigger stage. A lot of times, the performers will go out into the audience area, or at least like to the first, like in second row, and those are usually our members VIP. They know that we might touch them or be around them or interact with them. So we do kind of break that part up a little bit as much as possible.
Let's talk about this, Olivia. All right. You just mentioned it. Can be a little intimate. All right. The show might be a little too sexy for some of y'all out there. All right. Christians, you can leave again. It might be too sexy. I don't know. You tell me, Olivia, what is the because when I've gone, I've gone with someone I was dating, and I've seen a lot of partners go to the show, and really enjoy the show. So I'm kind of curious, like the that element of the show, and how people have, if you don't know anything about the show and you go to it, is that going to be something that like, how do people, I feel like people respond well to it. I don't feel like it's done tastefully, and there's not like, it's not, anything too crazy, but it is like, it's effective, it's part of the show and the story it tells. Like, so I'm just kind of curious about sort of that side of the show, the intimate side, the erotic side. Like, how does that interface with like the storytelling and all that kind of stuff?
Good question. I mean, I don't ever try to say that we should be doing anything that's like sexy, I guess, or like trying to go there. I think in some moments, if it's necessary because we're telling this story of somebody maybe overindulging and it kind of feels that sexy and she's doing dance that looks that way, then it can appear that way. But that's never really like something like we're ever really trying to do. How people read it, I mean, that's however they read it, I guess. Am I answering your question? Sorry.
Yeah, I guess it's
Or-
more about authentic expression than it is about like some kind of, trying to be salacious or titillating or whatever.
Yes, yes. I feel like everything that we do is there's a purpose behind it. Like there's a inner story that's behind it, and we're not doing it just because, oh, I need to fill this part in the show. I mean, the producer part of me is always kind of, yes, making sure, okay, do I have enough surreal elements in this? Does it read like what we are? Like, is it going to be like what House of Red Velvet is? Like, of course that's like important too, but the creative director performer side of me is like, no, it's what's inside here, and this is what's coming out, and it has to come from an authentic place. So we're never really like trying to be that. But of course, yeah, we get a lot of people, a lot of couples come to our show, and but I've gotten so many different reactions. I've had people who've definitely have been kind of like, wow, that was so erotic and interesting, and like, wow, and my girlfriend and I went home and we had a great time, or
I mean, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that. Nobody I took to the show, I can't say much. Take them to the show. Take your partner to
Right.
the show.
So do you reach a specific demographic? Do you find like do you find there's more of a certain age group or sex that attends your show?
Um, Actually, it's kind of half and half, men and women. I would say maybe a little bit more women, actually. But I think that's because it's all the main characters, all our main performers were all women, so it's kind of like maybe our stories. That's why. But pretty close to half and half. And then age-wise, yeah, 30 plus. 30 plus, yeah. I don't 20-year-olds are a little maybe too young to understand. But yeah, definitely people in their 30s, 40s, 50s even. Like it's for like a maybe more older crowd. I would say a sophisticated crowd, people who really love art, people who some people who work in the industry or work in the art industry, or even just people who kind of love art in general, but definitely a more like, yeah, sophisticated crowd, older.
Yeah, I mean, when I've attended, it's I mean, we got goths. Come on now. The goths be at the show.
Oh, we well, always.
Gotta have the goths.
They love the music.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I'll be honest, like when I've taken a date to the show, normally they're not in that world at all, and pretty unanimously, it's a very I don't know, people react in different ways, but it's also very like liberating. That's kind of a word that I've heard a lot about. Sometimes, yeah, like I said, it's like an exorcism. You go through it's what I enjoy most. What I enjoy most about it is it's an experience. I really feel like it's a unique experience, and I have been to all kinds of different shows and of all different types, and I feel like this is very singularly a unique experience. So, and that's why I support it so much. I feel like people should see this because it's something unique, and I feel like it comes from your mind, and it's cool. So,
Thank you. One of the most beautiful things somebody told me was this woman said she finally feels like she can live her life authentically after seeing the show. That was like a really beautiful thing to hear. And it touched us really, because I mean, if we can make people feel like, I mean, like you said, I mean, you say like exorcism, but that makes sense to me, like, because we want people to find what's inside them, whatever it is, like deep in there, and find that and be okay with that, and the dark and the light, that's why we always kind of like bring that together. If you don't understand the darkness, or if you don't go into the darkness right, you'll never really understand light or really feel light. It's part of the human experience.
Well, because not everything done in the dark is bad.
Hmm. Absolutely.
I don't know about that. What's the biggest challenge putting on this show? What would you say is the number one challenge that you've encountered?
um Definitely the logistical business, marketing, advertising, producing part of it.
How do you market the show? Do you use ads, or is it just word of mouth?
We have an email list that we've gathered, and that's very helpful. Social media and then ads on social media, but that's the hard part. I'm doing all of that as well as creative directing, as well as performing, as well as also just producing it um, with everyone else. So it's hard to kind of do all of it, and I think that's the most challenging for me personally, because it's a lot on the plate, and I'm not a marketing director. I am kind of learning by going and
Right.
doing it, but I don't know
Right.
if I'm doing it well enough, really. Am I throwing money away? Maybe. Don't want to do that.
Are you enjoying it?
The marketing part,
All of it as a whole. Are you enjoying it?
yes, I get frustrated. I'm not going to lie sometimes. Um, I get frustrated with the for producing part.
What would you say is the most rewarding part?
The most rewarding part is like show day performing, and it being done, and it coming to fruition, and feeling that power back from the audience, whatever they give us after. That's the most rewarding part. So it's all worth it in the end. But I'm in the middle. See, the thing is that I'm doing a show Saturday, so you caught me in this like the production mode where I've kind of become a different person. After the show, I'll be like, "This is great. I'm going to do it again." But right now, I'm like, this has been difficult and really hard." And
We had an episode, the last week, or with Angela or whatever, and it's like everything that could have gone wrong pretty much went wrong, and we were scrambling to get that thing, and it turned out all right. But it was like, man, I was about to freaking throw my computer out the window. I was so frustrated with all the random bullshit that we were going through. Well, I'm going to say this, Olivia. I mean, listen, Santa Clausthaler. Olivia needs a sponsor. She needs money. All right, give it to her. Don't sponsor us. Sponsor her.
Just make sure there's alcohol in it. Don't send no non-alcoholic beers.
At least give her, let the booze be free. How about that? Pay for the booze. All right, Olivia, we're gonna toast you. You're a goat of the stage, of production, of the house. So
cucumber
cheers to
water.
you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
We're gonna put everything in the show notes, but for anybody who wants to, as of this recording, it's a Wednesday. There's a show on Saturday. Where can people go if they want to buy tickets to the latest House of Red Velvet show?
At thehouseofredvelvet.com. We
Okay.
have our website, as well as we're on socials at the House of Red Velvet, except for X, we're at Art by THORV.
Okay.
It wouldn't let me fit the whole thing in. So, but usually if you just type in the House of Red Velvet, you can find us.
I have a question. You have a Patreon. Are there any plans to, I don't know, maybe film a portion for Patreon subscribers? Because I'm one. I'm just kind of dropping suggestions live on the podcast. But I don't know. I think that, I mean, I don't know. Has that ever been kind of something that you've considered? Because as much as it's great for the show, go see it in LA. If you're in LA, go see it. Fly out and see it. But
I want to see it, and I'm in Toronto.
yeah, we all want to see it. How can the world see this thing?
Okay, I have thought about that, and I have been asked that before. Um, I I'm afraid of it not feeling as good to you because it's gonna be something you're watching. I don't know, like if it would be as good as if it was live. However, maybe I need to revisit that, and maybe there's a way we can kind of do it in editing or something to make it feel like you're still kind of there, or that it's still just like a
So instead of having cameras like placed, have them in seats where they would be seated. So, and then you have your performers play to them as if it's a person.
that's a good idea. Yes.
Look,
And
GoPros on all the performers' heads. You get first person performance. That's one idea.
No, the Facebook Ray-Bans, right? The Meta Ray-Bans, they have cameras in them.
I was gonna say you rent some of those 360 cameras and like do a immersive experience for people that could like go click on your website and then it brings you into like a 3D experience, or even in VR. That'd be kind of cool too,
Apple sponsor the House of Red Velvet. You got to sell those headsets.
seeing
good
it
way.
live, like when we do it, would that be like better? But
Oh,
then you
that
might
would
hear
be
audio.
cool.
Yeah.
But then you
That
might
would be
hear
cool.
audience, or is that okay?
That's
Is
okay,
that
because
okay?
you would
That's
hear
Okay.
you would hear them if you were
that'd be
there.
normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, true. If you're watching like a concert, true.
I mean,
Yeah.
So it would put you in the seat. So back to the same thing. You just have the camera that
Mhm.
records VR sitting in the best seat in the house.
that
Okay, I have to
Nine
think
Inch
about it.
Nine Inch Nails show we went to, I'm still watching and listening to the shitty ass cobbled together, ancient freaking Samsung phone, clips that are put together on the YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And it's nothing like the real show, but it's like, you know, it's the homie Trent. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Maybe it doesn't, but I think that's a good thing, because it's like, okay, fine. You watch the recorded version, you're like, man, like I really want to go to the real thing now, because I feel like in person it'll be even better. With like the audience. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. You can tell. You can say,
I love
whatever.
ideas. No, thank you. It's a
All
good
right.
one. It's a good one.
All right. So everybody, if you're watching this before December 7th, 2024, the House of Red Velvet show is this weekend. If you're in LA or within driving distance of LA, I mean, Deezy, you're in Arizona, bro. Take the lady, man, for a little excursion on Saturday. Don't even tell her what she's going to. You just drive on out there, and then she'll be like, "What did you take me to? That was awesome." And I love Olivia.
She would enjoy it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, maybe Deezy will go out there. I want to fly out to LA, but I can't do it. Unfortunately, I can't do it this weekend. But all right.
You're not allowed to fly anymore anywhere.
You have tickets if you guys show up, if you want it.
Nice.
Olivia, thank you for coming on the show. This has been wonderful. It's good to see you. You're one of my favorite people.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Everybody out there, even you Christian conservative, MAGA loving, whatevers.
Everyone's welcome.
You can still go to the show.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, anybody out there who who's in the LA area, definitely go. All right, Fresh. What do we got to do? What do people got to do as we close the show here?
Honestly, you gotta like, you gotta subscribe, you gotta hit the bell, you gotta comment, you gotta go to the House of Red Velvet and get your tickets. And
Never lose your free thought, friends.